this next stretch of 3-4 moves was absolutely epic, and it really all started with this one. And now it is time for your round 5 rapid recap. And the game that we are showing today is a monumental battle between Vincent Keymer and Levon Aronian, who at the time that this game was played was in first place in his group. Very, very important for him to play a good game. Let's have a look at what happened. And Ketty, this started off in a pretty tame fashion. This was a Rogozin, which generally is a pretty positional opening, but really quickly it got super sharp.
They got really sharp, as Levon Aronian suggested. Quite a new approach of this opening, and he decided at this point to capture c4 pawn, allow white to take this pawn by the bishop in one move. But now look at this, e5 next move. This allows also d5, but queen c5 attacks the bishop. And after knight e4, which was played in the game, here Aronian's idea was to take this knight on e4, and after queen takes e4 to take the bishop, knight e7 first, to play bishop f5 next move, and also to threaten bishop d2 check.
Yeah, and here it was possible that Vincent should have actually just castled, and after bishop f5, he has bishop takes b4, queen takes b4, and now queen takes e5, counterattacking the knight. This might have been the wiser approach. Instead, he grabs the pawn on e5, and as you indicated, Ketty, bishop f5 with tempo, queen drops back, and now after the bishop trade, the king is wide open out in the center. Levon pushes it all the way back to c1. Now the rook on a1 is cut off. White's pieces may look nice, but they're all kind of suspended in the center, and White's position is very, very uncomfortable. Levon dropping the queen back to c5, pinning the bishop. Vincent strikes at Levon's bishop with g4, and this, Ketty, really was the most amazing moment of the game. This next stretch of 3-4 moves was absolutely epic, and it really all started with this one.
Yeah, and here it comes, g5.
Boom.
The move, which is not even guarded by any of Black's pieces, and in fact is a check after queen takes g5, but it was not working.
No, because of bishop g6, and it turns out the knight on e7 is protected. Black threatens the move b5, and there's nothing that White can do about it. b5 is a huge threat, together with f6 as well. So White's position falls apart here, but Vincent, he was not deterred, and he finds the counter-strike, b4. And this is a lot better than the alternative queen d4, because after the trade and bishop e4, Black wins the pawn back with interest. So b4 is actually brilliant. It distracts Black's queen so that the queen can slide on over to d4. Levon going knight g6. That's another very nice tactical move. The point is that if you take the bishop, well, then Black takes the knight. And at the end of the line, the bishop on c4 is going to hang. So Vincent drops the bishop back. Check by Levon. And after king d2, really the next stage of the game, Ketty, where Levon mounts a big, furious assault on the queen side. It starts with the move c5. And even though the position might objectively be equal, practically it's really, really hard to play for White, as the game showed.
Yeah, it is really hard to have this game with the king in the center. And in fact, White had never had a chance to get this king in the safest place, thanks to the moves that Aronian is just making now, starting from g5 and c5. And now look at this, he kept the knight on e5. He once again sacrificed g5 pawn. He ignores that. He says, come take me, I'm fine with that. And I have very good position, in fact, winning position.
Yeah, he sacks the same pawn with check twice, first to the queen and then to the rook. And notice that he doesn't give this fork, not because he missed it, but because he thinks the knight is stronger than the rook. And he is right. In this position, the king is in a lot of danger. But if we go back after b5, rook g5, king h8, once Black plays the move f6, this diagonal is shut off and the king is actually relatively safe. Now, it seems that Vincent missed the possibility to go rook g1, f6, rook g3, when in this incredibly sharp position, White is actually probably objectively better. But this is so hard to decide on when there's the incredibly scary looking move c4. So something in here Vincent missed, and at this point he was already in very severe time pressure. He starts by playing bishop d1. That's inaccurate, but not terrible. Queen drops back to a6. Vincent repositions the bishop on e2. That was his idea. Levon brings the rook into d8. Vincent defends. After queen a4, Vincent had a minute on the clock, and with a minute on the clock in such a difficult position, look at this king on d2. He should have played f3, to defend the e4 pawn. But Ketty, total collapse here from the young German grandmaster as he makes a horrible but understandable blunder with rook h5, just forgetting about the e4 pawn.
He loses this central pawn, which on the other hand was guarding d5, important pawn, and now black takes not only e4 pawn but also d5 with a check, and white's king is in huge problem.
Yeah, and Vincent really only had one threat, which is rook takes h7 and then queen h3, but Levon very coolly preventing that, closing down the diagonal. And now if white tries the same thing, then the queen h6 just parries all of the threats. Black is up a rook, and with white's center completely collapsing after these two captures, there is nothing left to play for. Black is up a million pawns. White's position is all over the place, and Vincent maybe could have resisted for a couple more moves with king a1, but instead bishop takes b5, one last try, and Aronian picks up the bishop, realizing that his king is totally unassailable. And after rook e1 f6, the knight is fixed on e5. Queen d4 is next, forcing the queen trade, and Vincent saw no use in further resistance, which is totally reasonable. He resigned the game, and in 35 moves with the black pieces, Levon Aronian defeating the German youngster to guarantee victory in his group. What a performance by Levon. And this was your round 5 rapid recap. Ketty, an amazing display by Mr. Aronian today, and by several others who won their games, including Nakamura.
Yeah, I agree with that. What a day we had here. And also it was quite dramatic for many of the players who actually lost any chance to get qualified to the next stage. But we do have very interesting last round on the knockout system. Nakamura, Esipenko, we mentioned, look at them just having 3.5 and 3 points, half a point difference in the last round. This group is very interesting, as well as the group B, where Wojtaszek and Fedosiev are trying to get to only one spot.
They are, and Esipenko also lost to Nakamura in their first game, so he's going to have a chip on his shoulder, and he's going to have the white pieces. That's going to be a game to watch. Aronian is going to sleep peacefully tonight, as he's already cleaned up his group. And yeah, Wesley and Dominguez fighting tooth and nail for top spot in Group D. And of course, in Group B, as you said, Ketty, Wojtaszek, and Fedosiev in lockstep with 3 points as they draw their game today. Here we have an overview of the 3 legs of the Grand Prix. Berlin, Belgrade, Berlin, pretty easy to remember the cities. The second leg starts February 28th, but plenty of action remaining in the first leg. And we will have the next round for you at the same time tomorrow. An amazing day of action, Ketty. And tomorrow promises to be perhaps even more epic. Not sure if that's even possible.
I can't wait to see tomorrow's round, as it will be the last for the knockout system, and we're gonna know only 4 players going to the next stage. Anything's gonna get so complicated, but also very close to know who is going to win the most of the Grand Prix points and also 24,000 euros.